guys, welcome back to Super Marvel Brothers. I'm Connor.
I'm Brendon, and we're bringing you the greatest podcast to get you prepared for the greatest cinematic event in the history of the world, Marvel Infinity Wars, that comes out in May. And to do that, we are going to rewatch every MCU movie in chronological order.
It's an adventure so far. This week we watched Iron Man 2.
First sequel in the rewatch.
First sequel, not a good omen for future sequels.
Yeah, they don't hit their stride right away.
You said before we started watching that this movie was just forgettable. And I have to agree because I literally forgot, like, the only time I remembered parts was like a minute or two before they happened. And I was like, oh yeah, I like this part. This part's badass.
Yeah, and I always remember people saying, like, this is a bad movie. And when I was watching it, it's like, it's not bad, but it's just so forgettable. Like,
yeah,
probably by tomorrow, I won't remember half the things that happen in this movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is Jon Favreau redirects this movie. He did the first Iron Man, comes back for Iron Man 2, does not come back for Iron Man 3. Important to note when we get to that eventually. So this is the last time Jon Favreau is directing in the MCU. I just looked at the box numbers. Did very well at the box office. For a budget of $200 million, made $623 million in just the United States. No, that's worldwide. Still, pretty good showing there. I did see this in theaters. Do you see this in theaters?
I think so.
I remember this was a college freebie. We used to do free movie nights, and they took us to see this for free, so that's why I saw
college. I would have been in high school. Yeah, I think I did see it in theaters.
All right.
Yeah, it was certainly a movie. Shall we just get into the summary?
Let's do it. So the movie starts right at the end of Iron Man 1. Tony Stark's giving his press conference where he's saying that he is Iron Man. Mm-hmm. And then we meet Ivan Vanko, played by Mickey Rourke here.
Yeah.
Who, his father is dying while
as that's happening.
Like, literally, this is the most comic booky thing I've ever seen. The villain's father's dying as the hero is revealing that he is a superhero.
Yeah. I mean... But you know what? You know what this movie started to attempt to do that was better than the first Iron Man? They attempted to make us care for the villain.
They did try. And really, this is the first one where we're trying to get like an emotional attachment to the villain. The other three movies we watched so far, by the way, we are in week 4. For those of you just tuning in, so go watch the other 3 before you watch this.
Yeah.
They just kind of say, like, the villain's a total jerk. You should hate him, and here's why, as he, like, kills innocent people.
Which, honestly, is surface level, a very comic book approach to it. But nowadays, comic books, they're comic books dedicated to famous villains because they have good stories.
I mean, people are clamoring for a Doctor Doom movie. Like, that's
what... I'd honestly watch that.
People want that. People want a Loki movie.
I'd watch a Magneto movie, you know?
Oh, my gosh, I would love a Magneto movie.
That would be so good. Because he's a villain... Who, I say one of the best things that makes good villains are always villains who are convinced they're right.
Yeah.
And not that they're evil, but that, no, I'm doing the right thing. People just don't realize it.
Yeah. This isn't, we can't do X-Men.
I'm sorry. I'm just, interesting characters.
Marvel owns Fox
Eventually.
Now. Eventually, when we run out of material, we can go and do X-Men. Because then we can do X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh. Oh, the movie that had so high hopes and so little payoff.
The ghost Professor X in the end of it just walking around.
Yeah, you know.
We are not a X-Men podcast. We are a Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. So we get this, his father passing away, and he has a vendetta against Tony Stark. He's got the posters hanging out everywhere. We don't know why yet, really.
Right.
That gets revealed a little later, but we kind of get that feel that something's not right. Then we cut back into the United States, go 6 months later, and I want a couple things that I pointed out here. So Tony Stark drops in an Iron Man suit to the Stark Expo that he's restarted. We saw this actually in Captain America, the first Avenger. This is where we see the flying car.
Yep.
So he restarts it. It says it's going for 1 year, which my question is, why the hell is there a Stark Expo that's going for 1 full year uninterrupted?
I mean, expos are great, you know, but like, I feel like a weekend is like 3 or 4 days is a solid time for
10
an
days.
expo.
You get a whole week and 2 weekends? That sounds
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, we're going to do a whole year. And we find out later, he doesn't have things planned for the whole year.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
He's just like, oh yeah, we get your spot, whatever, because, you know, who's going to come on a Wednesday in February to the Stark Expo that's been going for 9 months?
Right, exactly.
But something that did stand out to me, he announces when he's here that in these 6 months is the longest period of uninterrupted peace, and it's because of him.
Bold statement.
I'm going to go on a limb and say there's probably been like 7 months in world history where there hasn't been any like major wars. Going to go on a limb here. That's a bold claim. A very bold claim. By a bold man.
By a bold
man.
A bold man who would say that Infinity War is the greatest cinematic experience.
No, rational men say that. Rational men say that, sir.
Okay.
So he kind of goes through saying all this blah 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 blah. We then get this cutaway where we're looking through the eyes of Tony Stark as he meets people. He's shaking hands, taking numbers, doing that, and then we get this. I'm gonna let you take this one.
This is I'm going to draw the line in the sand. This is the worst Stan Lee cameo.
This is by far the worst. I thought that
Captain America was a sour start. Captain America was a very sour start, but thank God it wasn't Iron Man 2.
I mean, I always thought Spider-Man 3 had the worst Stan Lee cameo. I take that back. This is garbage. This was hot, steaming, flaming garbage. They try and pass Stan Lee off as Larry King.
Which, by the way, Stan Lee, an older man, a man in his years, even at this point in time, not nearly skeletal enough to be Larry King.
Just get regular Larry King. He's not doing anything.
He does a lot. He does a lot of cameos and stuff.
Like how hard would it have been? Hey, Larry, here's $20. Go stand there for 6 seconds.
I think you could have put a classroom biology class skeleton in a suit and glasses, and I probably would have been like, "Hey, look, it's Larry King." Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know Larry King or anything. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying the guy is very old looking.
Yes, he's very old looking. There's a lot of issues there.
And he doesn't have a mustache.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Yeah.
It is just a bad use of Stan Lee.
He didn't even say anything.
Do we want to try and like brainstorm better uses for Stan Lee in this movie?
I would have taken an expo like him starting a presentation.
Here's where I would have gone with it.
Okay.
You go to the expo.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump way ahead towards the end scene.
Okay.
He's a vendor. He's a crazy vendor selling
Iron Man,
selling something crazy.
Okay.
And he's just going out on his limb.
Like your cowboy, like Wild West, like get your ether here.
Right.
Here's everything.
Here it is. Here's the Stan Lee cameo right here.
Okay.
All right. It's right before the final climax of the scene, and we jumped way far ahead of this movie, so you really should watch the movie before you get this.
Stan Lee,
yes.
kid in the bath.
No, Stan Lee's little kid in the bath just pulls out.
Excelsior!
Yes, that's it. No, he's a vendor, and he's selling fake repulsor gloves.
Okay.
And he's like, they'll make you fly, they'll make you shoot, they'll make you do this. And someone's like, I'm not convinced. And then Tony Stark just flies straight over his head. He's like, see? And the dude just shells out $50.
That would have been a good one.
There it is. I did it.
That would have been a good Stan Lee cameo.
Marvel, take it for free. The next one's going to cost you.
Take it for free. Next Iron Man movie they make, take it for free.
Yeah. So we get that, and then we kind of get cut. He gets subpoenaed.
Yeah.
By Kate Mara, by the way. Kate Mara is in this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh.
Serving subpoenas.
And he has to go to Congress where we meet the senator. Is it Stern?
Stern.
Stern. Which
Senator Weird Lips.
Senator Weird Lips. Senator Stern. We find out later he is a Hydra senator. And also... Spoilers, yeah. If you haven't watched these already.
Yeah, let's be fair, this is a recap podcast.
We're doing this with the benefit of knowing what's going to happen.
We have clairvoyance.
Yes. But, of course, Senator Stern is from the great state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The Hydra Senator, Weird Lips. Mm-hmm. Definitely something the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania would vote for.
Yep.
Just glad they threw that in there for everyone to know.
Twist that knife, throw some salt in that wound.
Maybe he's just making the Commonwealth great again.
Yeah. Oh.
2 fists at a time.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
All right. So we get to the subpoena. He's in front of Congress, and they're basically demanding that Tony Stark is not supervised by anyone at this point.
Right.
that he's a civilian basically with the greatest weapon in the world.
Which, to Tony Stark's defense, they keep calling it a weapon. He's like, oh, I wouldn't call it a weapon. That does not fit the proper definition. And they ask him what the definition is, and what did he say? Like, superpowered...
It's like an enhanced prosthetic.
Yeah, enhanced prosthesis.
That's it.
And it was like, yeah, that's actually pretty accurate.
I mean, I get what he's trying to say, but at the same time, I mean, he's like trying to say like, well, you're saying like that baseball bat's a weapon. No, it's used to hit baseballs. And it's like, no, that's not the same thing. This is, you built missiles. There's a tank missile in your wrist.
Guns don't kill people, bullets kill people.
No, the government does.
Oh, sorry.
Stay woke.
Stay woke. Hashtag woke.
But yeah, they're in there and they're trying to basically put a negative light on this.
Yeah.
They're saying like it's obviously unsafe to the entire world in the United States. And then they pull in Justin Hammer, comes in for the first time.
I'm looking at your notes here. I can't wait till we get to this.
Justin Hammer is head of Hammer Industries, the #1 competitor of Stark Industries. And he's trying to get into the Department of Defense. He wants to get that private contract for that sweet, sweet government money.
Sweet GovMon.
GovMon. And
.gov.mon.
The way they're really trying to get Tony Stark here, kind of paint him into a corner, is they have video, or they have pictures. They don't even have video yet.
Right.
They have pictures of sites, North Korea, Iran. Do they say another? I forget. But, obviously threats to the United States, and they say, we have evidence that they might be building a
like equivalent.
Equivalent, yeah. And then, let's point this out. So, we said this movie takes place 6 months after Iron Man 1.
Yes.
I believe he was in the cave for 3 months.
Yes.
So we're going to say in a span of 9 months. Okay?
Okay.
Tony Stark went from a flip phone to a phone that you can see through and it can hack TVs from like 50 feet away.
On the spot.
On the spot. He just hit a couple buttons. He's like, oh, hey, no, I got this. Just want to point that out. He had a flip phone at the beginning of Iron Man 1.
College students in the Hulk were more advanced than Tony Stark when it came to personal
And then he's just like, well, if I'm going to build this Iron Man, I'm going all in on everything. And just builds this crazy thing.
Yeah.
And he's able to show videos that obviously these things suck. They're not good. And he actually shows Hammer Industry where we see the very gruesome...
It might be the most brutal death we've seen.
No, he said he survived.
Okay, brutal incident. This dude's in like this Iron Man ripoff and just... torso does a 180 with the dude inside. Oh, and you just hear the scream, and it's like, ugh.
And then that's when Hammer unplugs. He's like, I'd like to point out that pilot did survive.
Yeah. But we skipped over.
Oh, go ahead.
We skipped over when I was Justin Hammer. Not even 2 minutes into him being introduced in this movie, delivers a line so perfectly. I don't know how he didn't get nominated for something for this line alone. Where he's like, I like to take notes from the real professionals in this field. Like your dad!
He really does ham up that your dad, doesn't he?
It's so good! I just want a shirt that says, your dad!
Just Justin Hammer saying your dad.
Oh, man.
Justin Hammer, we'll talk about him later.
Again, more reasons that the MCU should be more memed.
I mean, I think our goal should be for the listeners to find one meme in every movie.
One meme per movie, people.
That's all we're trying to do, and this is it. We brought you one.
You have 2 hours of footage to find an image, a GIF,
a quote,
a clip. Like, you got 2 hours of footage per movie to find, like, 6 seconds of gold.
You know what they should be saying? I'm going to quote Justin Hammer here. God bless America. God bless Iron Man. God bless us for helping the people find the memes.
God bless us for helping the people find the memes.
And then we get the big reveal of the movie.
Yeah. Oh,
there's a new roadie in town.
the new and improved. You thought this was about Iron Man making new suits? No, this was about Iron Man making new roadies. Is what this was about. Roadie 2.0.
Don Cheadle making his MCU appearance.
Oh. And a rightful appearance at that.
Okay, let's just skip ahead. We're going to talk about this. Don Cheadle is 100 times better than Terrence Howard.
Oh my god. Terrence was so, like, flat.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't really care to be there. Don Cheadle, like, actually, like, plays off, like, acts, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he you can obviously tell he cares about Tony. Like, you can tell that, oh yeah, they probably are friends. Like, you don't have to lay out their whole friendship, but you can kind of tell the way he's acting.
With Terrence Howard, it was like, okay, these guys are like work friends.
Yeah, these are like, when Don Cheadle punches the code to open Tony's basement, it's like, I get it.
Like, he would have that.
Yeah, that's a thing. Where, oh man, it was so refreshing. And the way he delivers lines, so much better.
It felt more natural.
It did. It felt so much better. I'm so glad that he is in the MCU now.
Yeah.
And may he stay in. Well, we know he's in Infinity War. We saw that clip.
He's pretty well cemented. Don Cheadle's not doing much besides MCU, I'm pretty sure.
I'm more concerned about like what his character's going to do in the MCU. He's a little.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get to that. But anyway, so we get the Rotary reveal. It's great. I also want to point this out. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to do this in the rewatch. I believe in Doctor Strange, they do a mention about someone having a severed spine in a mechanical suit.
That's probably one of the more recent ones I've seen, but I could not tell you.
It's right when he's about to crash the car.
Okay.
He's looking at that. I feel like they say something like a severed spine, a mechanical suit, and he says, "Oh, that's interesting." I think that's a reference to this. It
Probably.
has to be. It has to be.
Can I pause you real quick?
Yeah.
I want some silence so I can cut this out. That'll be sexy when I play that back.
Okay, but yeah, seriously, I think they do have that in Doctor Strange, so I'm going to be looking out for that when we do watch that.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one.
So let's see. We go then. Oh, Jarvis. We get that the big plot, the big issue.
Yeah.
The big issue in this movie is Tony Stark has poisoning in his blood from his core,
which they hint at the expo because he takes a blood sample and it's like blood toxicity levels like what 12% or whatever,
and then it just jumps up to like 33 by the second time.
And they don't really give like it's not like it's hard to keep a steady track of the days and nights because like you don't know how. I guess it's hard to track how many days this movie takes place over.
And it's also another thing I just thought of here. Like I said, this is 9 months from the beginning of Iron Man to this. From 9 months, it went from 0 to 12%. In like 18 hours, it goes from 12 to 33.
Right. And the only reason I can think of is it's like compounding. I don't know.
But he has to drink like chlorophyll, I think he said, to like combat it. But this is like he's sitting in his basement, and what I don't like about this movie is they turn Jarvis into exposition man.
Yeah, they do.
He just reads off what you need to know, and it's so lazy.
It is. Like, they could have... I don't know. Like, Tony Stark could have delivered it in a better way.
Like, at this point, Tony Stark knows it's killing him.
Right.
Jarvis doesn't need someone to... Tony doesn't need Jarvis to say, the thing that's keeping you alive is also killing you.
Yeah, it could have been like, oh, palladium means like, yeah, I know, I'm being poisoned by my own reactor. I get it.
Yeah.
Like, and that would have been like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very lazy, and it felt like a cop out. Like you think the people who watch these movies are stupid.
Yeah,
there's better ways to do that there. And then we have Pepper Potts come down. She comes down in there, and she's freaking out. Tony has given away his art to the Boy Scouts.
His modern art.
His modern art. He's putting Iron Man posters up in his basement, and she's just saying like, things are going crazy, like no one can handle this, and you're right. He's like, you're right, you can do it.
Yeah,
which it should have felt like a bigger moment.
Well, I mean, I don't know. The one thing I will give this movie is it's very much in Tony Stark's character to be like, well, I'm dying and I have a practically unlimited amount of money, and I can do anything, so I'm just gonna go crazy for this last like month I have. And I think that's kind of like why it's like, yeah, you're right. You'd be a better CEO. I need a successor. You do it.
It just feels like with their relationship, it just felt so rushed in what they were trying to do.
Well, and I don't know if it's intentional, but there's not really a dead set on what their relationship is in this movie.
Yeah, but you're building off Iron Man 1 where they get a little closer, and yeah, you're right. It is very uneven what's actually going on there.
And again, we just got off saying like, oh, well, you don't want to treat your audience like they're stupid. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, coming off of Iron Man 1, I feel like I'd be like, okay, so they're in a relationship now. But that's very much not the case in this movie. Like, they're still in that awkward stage of, like, tension. And it's just, like, a really uncomfortable, like, are you or aren't you? Because there's no dead, like...
After 6 months, it's crap or get off the pot. You know?
Right, exactly. Get off the pots?
Get off the pots. There we go. Hashtag crap or get off the pots.
Yeah, and it's like, even if they snuck a line in during one of their arguments, like, well, it's not like we're dating or anything. Like, you know, like, then it's like, okay, now I know. And you don't have to flat out say it in a line by itself. Like, you could fix it into an argument they have, because they have this good, like, back and forth where they're interrupting each other and stuff, and it feels like a genuine fight.
But that's not what we get. He gives her a CEO. They toast some champagne. Everything's great. Then we cut to a boxing scene.
Yeah.
We get to see
Jon
Favreau trying to teach boxing with this. I love the giant
boxing
huge
pads. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he looks like Batama from Dragon Ball Super. It's great. But yeah, Tony's just doing boxing lessons, and then we get our first reveal of Romanoff in the MCU. She's disguised as a person from legal who's doing the paperwork on the transfer of CEO. Tony instantly, of course, eyes drawn to her.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, it's just, yeah.
Which we then get to the next scene as he tells her to go into the boxing ring.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like, again, how forgettable this movie is. I thought he actually boxed her.
Yeah.
No, he gets out and actually starts like spying on her, like doing a search on her. But then Jon Favreau, who, again, is the director of the movie, he put that scene in just for himself, right?
Oh, absolutely. He had to. He ended up getting, like, essentially, like...
suplex? Is that what... Yeah, I don't even know what it is.
I mean, like, ninja suplex by Black Widow.
By Scarlett Johansson.
And, like, ended up with, like, scissor locks between your legs. I was like... Favreau, you abused your power a little bit there, didn't you?
Jon Favreau got away with one there.
Jon Favreau's like, look, I'm a bigger dude in Hollywood, but I'm a director, so we're gonna get this out of the way. Cross this one off the bucket list.
So he's trying to find more about Romanoff. I forget what her last name is. Natasha's her first name. I forget the. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He doesn't find anything about Romanoff. He finds a bunch of... Obviously, S.H.I.E.L.D. has made a very good backstory of her. Speaks like 6 languages.
Which is probably true.
6 languages. That is true, because she does speak Latin later in the movie. And then we go to Monaco.
Yeah, Monaco. Where they're having some party in a big Grand Prix, and we get a better cameo than Stan Lee.
Yeah, Elon Musk is in this movie.
I don't know how that happens. I want to be in the phone call where it's like, hey, Elon Musk, you want to be in Iron Man 2? Like...
And he's not playing characters. He's like, oh, Elon, nice to meet you. And I Googled it. I was like, that's not the real Elon Musk. Yes, it is. He's in this movie.
I mean, I guess if you're hanging out around the filming, it's like, you want to be in a scene quick? And it's like, yeah, okay.
I mean, yeah, and it's not a big scene, but it's just crazy. Like, that is probably the best cameo in this movie. Well... Unless we're counting the one later in this movie.
We'll see. But honestly, that's a cameo that makes sense. Like, yeah, of course Elon Musk would know Tony Stark.
And he'd be in Monaco for this big race, because that's what billionaires do.
And he had a great idea for an electric jet, apparently.
That'd be neat. I like jets. They're having a meeting there. We meet Hammer again, and we find out that Hammer has had his contract canceled after the reveal, I guess, of the suits. That's actually not made very clear why it's canceled.
Yeah, and the only thing I can think of is that Tony Stark, like, simultaneously shut him and the senator down in, like, one fell swoop during that hearing.
Yeah, again, that's not made very clear. They're trying to do an interview with him, and then obviously, Tony Stark walks in. Screw Hammer.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great. Just the whole, like, oh, you're not important. He is. Mm-hmm. Which honestly does a lot for Hammer's character, I think. The, like, weird, petty, like, Two-Face.
Here's another issue I had. So I kind of said this when we did the Hulk. Before I rewatched it, I really wanted them to bring Betsy Ross. Betty, is it Betty? Betty. Betsy Ross made the fly. Betty Ross back in, because I thought she had a good character, and then rewatching, I was like, oh, actually, this is awful. Same thing, like, I was thinking before watching, like, they never brought Hammer back. It seemed like he'd be, like, a neat character. I hate his character so much.
He's annoying.
He's annoying. He's whiny. He seems bipolar the way he acts sometimes.
He's like, I feel like they wanted a funny villain, but what they got between Ivan and him was funny and a villain.
And they don't mesh well together.
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke is wasted in this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Very, very much wasted. But we'll get to that. We'll get more into that, I should say. But yeah, I just want to say, Hammer's character, I thought like, oh, it'd be cool to bring him back. No, keep him Joe. He's fine. I don't want to see him again. We get to the race, and Tony Stark owns one of the race teams, and he decides...
He just, like, fires the driver.
He tells the driver, get lost. I'm going to race this. Again, we're thinking because he's having this, like, I'm going to die at the end of the month kind of crisis, and starts doing this race, which is then when we have Ivan take advantage of this. He's dressed as a pit crew worker, and he just kind of walks on the track, which you had a lot of comments for.
Yeah. No person, I don't care how evil, how sure, I don't care. No person walks onto a track with vehicles moving that fast with 100% confidence. And he strutted out there like fuck freaking Frogger, dude. Freaking Frogger.
Didn't flinch, didn't even, I don't think he's even looking at the track. He's looking straight forward,
yeah.
Probably knows, like...
Yeah, no human does that. Which means Mickey Rourke in this movie either was an alien or a robot.
Or Russian.
Oh, you know what? I forgot he was Russian. Okay. No human except Russians could do that.
And my comment was, there's a gate there and there was no security guard.
No lock. There was
no lock. Like, you're not going to lock this race. There's cars going 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, I feel like that should be protocol to like, have an electronic lock or a padlock. Put a padlock on it.
Yeah, one of the greatest sayings I live in my life is, the higher the stakes, the less the tech. There's 200 cars going 250 miles, but padlock that.
Yeah.
Don't electric lock, just padlock that.
The master lock, classic, click, okay, we're good.
And we got it.
And that's one of those things where it's like, that only needs to be unlocked if someone really needs to be out there. So that's fine to be padlocked.
So he does walk out there. He turns on his whip suit, which burns all his clothes off. And
honestly, this whole sequence is pretty cool.
This whole sequence has some really good shots in it.
Like, probably one of the better sequences of this movie.
Oh, by far. I think it's the best sequence in this movie. This would have been better. I think this is better than the final fight scene, I think.
Really?
I think so. He comes out, he whips, he's tearing cars in half. He gets to Tony's car, flips it over, tears it. And that's when Happy comes, or Pepper goes to get Happy.
Yeah.
And Happy drives onto the racetrack, and he's going against traffic, and he's taking this SUV.
Yeah.
And just weaving through these cars like it's no one's business. So my notes were, I guess Happy has Ultra Instinct.
That's the only way. Because you got to think, so these cars are already, let's say these cars are going like 180 miles per hour.
Which is probably slower than what they are going.
Yeah.
But let's just say.
Yeah, let's just say, for the sake of the argument, Happy's going probably like, how fast can an SUV go? Like,
let's say if he's booking at 70, 80.
Okay, so we'll say 80. You're attacking 80 on top of 100. You're going 260 miles. Essentially, those cars are coming at you at 260 miles per hour.
And there's bends in these roads. It's not a straight shot. You don't know what's coming around.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy driving. He eventually gets there. Tony's about to get killed. Happy rams into Ivan, pins him to the wall there.
And Ivan's now paralyzed from the waist down.
I mean, yeah, because he just rammed that into there. Unless he's got some real big steel inserts that we're not seeing in those legs there. And he keeps running them in. Tony's trying to get the suitcase from Pepper. Eventually does, and then we find out that the suitcase is actually a portable Iron Man suit.
Which is so cool.
It is so cool. This is like the coolest Iron Man suit I can think of in the series.
The 1 in 3 that flies together is pretty neat.
It's okay.
But just something about a transformation sequence.
Yeah, he just puts his arms into the suit and it covers him and it makes a cool Iron Man suit.
Yeah,
that's so neat.
It's pretty rad.
And he fights him. We find that the whips kind of can mess with everything because they have the electricity charging through them.
Arc reactor energy.
Yeah, but eventually, he does break through. He beats him. But then Ivan, I should say, I keep wanting to call him Mickey Rourke. Ivan menacingly says, "You lost," as he's being dragged away to prison.
And honestly, I gotta say, from from a villain standpoint, he has a point when he explains it to Tony later.
Yeah, they go to the prison later, and he explains it.
And he says, like, well, if you make God bleed in front of the masses, they stop believing in God.
So it's Batman vs Superman.
Yeah. But I'd rather watch this than that.
Absolutely. I would rather watch this Batman vs Superman too.
The Batman's actually entertaining in this. Wait, which one's Batman?
Oh my god.
Which one's Batman in this allegory or this comparison?
Happy.
Oh, then yes, I'd watch this 200 times over.
Anyway, but they explain the concept being that Tony's whole argument was these suits are 20 years minimum away. And he's saying, I just made this suit yesterday.
Yeah.
Your whole argument's gone.
And almost messed you up with it. So...
so they go through that. He's walking away. And this is a note I kind of said during the movie I didn't get. Ivan says that... excuse me, let me look at my notes here. Palladium, yeah. Palladium's in the chest is very painful. How's he know?
My only thing is he's made this reactor, so I guess his also runs off palladium.
But his isn't in his chest.
Right.
His is just on the outside of the chest.
So I guess... I mean, we already know he's a smart dude, so I guess it's... Well, palladium poisoning must suck. Like, accounts from that in the past, maybe, of people who had it. So he's probably like, yeah, you probably got palladium poisoning, huh?
We go back to the scene. Everyone's going crazy about Stark and all this and saying, like, can he protect us? Should he be doing this? And I think this is the first scene where you saw Tony Stark's greatest invention, the ability to say mute, and it would mute the TV.
It's so good. And he uses it, like, 3 more times in the movie.
Yeah, it's not something that's just one and done. It's, like, consistent.
Because, like, the first time it's on his private jet, it's like, yeah, Tony Stark would have that on his jet. And then it's, like... in his house and in his office, for sure, that's other places he would have it. But it's just like, did he spend time to install this in all of his TVs?
It's pretty nice. So we do get that scene there. And then we go to the jail scene.
Yeah.
Ivan's in jail. But we start seeing there's, like, some weird things happening.
Yeah.
Starting with a note that says, enjoy the potatoes.
Yeah, and the potatoes end up to be, like, plastic explosives.
They put another person that looked like him with the same prisoner number in the cell.
Which that guy came in the cell and you could tell, like, he was like, what?
Something's not right,
yeah.
and I don't think it's going to end well for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ivan knocks him out. There's finally a key put on. He unlocks it. The cell explodes, presumably killing Ivan. And then he's basically kidnapped out of the jail.
To Hammer.
To the most awkward dinner scene I have ever seen. And again, this goes back, I don't like Hammer's character at all in this movie.
There's, like, you can do a crazy evil character, like, not quite Joker. A good example would be Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2, which I know you haven't played, but for story-wise you should, because he's a good villain. That's a good, like, I'm a businessman, I'm unpredictable, and I'm also the bad guy. Now, come have dinner with me. Oh, I like what you did there. Without being a creepy nerd.
Yeah, it's just so weird how he's portrayed. Like,
yeah.
He's eating ice cream. He flew in from San Francisco.
And it's Italian ice cream.
And it's Italian.
And they're
organic. Organic.
They're in Italy. It's... Yeah.
And, like, they serve this Russian some salmon thing. He's just like, what is this?
Yeah.
I do like that Ivan just picks up an entire bottle of vodka. No glass, just starts pounding that.
I mean, you know, it is how Russians do.
It is how the Russians do. That and rigging election. Oh, did I say that?
This is a political podcast.
We're going to cut that out. So as we do that, we go back to Tony Stark. He's having his birthday party.
Yeah, because Natasha, he's like, what would you do if you had, like, this was your last birthday party? And she's like, I do what I want with who I want. And I'm
literally the worst advice you could give to this man.
Exactly. Because in my head, it's like, oh, he's probably going to get pepper and it's going to be this nice. Nope, throws a rager.
Again, I do want to point out one quick thing before we go to the party. Right before the party, he tests his blood. His blood's 89% toxic at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what's poisoning you. If your blood is 89% it, it's gonna kill you.
Yeah, no, your organs are not functioning.
Yeah,
well.
something's, especially for a man that drinks as much as Tony Stark, his liver's dead.
Oh my, his liver's been dead. Like, let's be fair.
No, his liver was pickled. Now it's dead. We do get to the party scene, which I do love. I wish they did this more. I understand Disney will never do it, but they do drunk Tony Stark in the suit. That's a huge... I don't read the comics, but I know that's a huge thing. Him, like, dealing with alcohol in the comics. Yeah. And I just love that he's like, hey, I'm Tony Stark. I'm drunk. I'm going to put my suit on and just DJ California Love. It's great.
Yeah, it's honestly, like... Honestly, a really, like, true to character Tony Stark scene. And if this were probably a more serious movie, I'm sure it would have gone into this whole, like, downward spiral of, like, you need to get yourself in control and you're pushing everyone away from you. Like the comics would and have, but nah.
Mm-hmm.
Action movie.
And then we're going to blow stuff up. We're going to blow a watermelon up with our chest blaster.
Yeah, with the unibeam. Why not?
Rhodes comes to the party, sees this happening, tells Pepper, you need to you need to stop this right now.
Yeah.
Pepper tries, fails. Tony's going to blow stuff up. So Rhodey goes into the basement and gets, I'm assuming the Mach 2.
Yeah, it's the Mark II.
So he gets the Mach 2, comes up and says, like, this party's over. And then we get this... Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit.
Okay.
One of my favorite guilty pleasure movies is Pacific Rim.
Right.
And any Godzilla movie.
Yeah, because
I love
awesome.
monsters fighting. I like robots fighting. This should have been an awesome scene. And it just felt so flat to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real... Because here's the thing. Rhodey... What I said was, Tony has the experience of piloting these countless Iron Man suits, and Rhodey is, sure, trained in combat and everything. Tony was also just plastered.
He could not stand.
He could barely stand. And so it's like, how is he competent in fighting? Rhodey should have had this, like, 10 ways from Sunday.
Yeah, and I think the thing is they tried to make this way too cartoony.
Yeah.
They had the music changed. Like you said, they had the robot...
Robot Rock by Daft Punk, and it was like, okay, this is cool, but it was a super cartoony fight.
It's just super... Yeah, it's so cartoony, and eventually it ends with Tony winning, I guess.
Imagine if the last fight in Civil War was like that.
Oh my gosh. I almost puked in my mouth. Like, I mean, and again, I get... Marvel had the plan, but they didn't have, like, the tone down yet. And I guess you've got to start light to get the wide audience in, which is it. I mean, it got us in. Like,
yeah, it did.
It got us into this, and then you go darker. But like after I've seen how good these movies can be, to see that it's just a little like
and
insulting.
honestly, like it would have been more impactful with the last part of that fight where Rhodey flies away with the suit. If, like, there was this, like, brutal ripping into each other verbally.
Like, if there was some actual fighting, or, like, he damaged the arc reactor so Tony couldn't use his... I mean, that kind of happened in Civil War, I guess, but...
Yeah.
But, like, something that, like, really would have, like, done it. Like, he blows Stark's face, like, the face mask off. So you see Tony Stark's face. Tony scares the crowd away, and then Rhodey flies back, which I brought up the point. They're in Malibu. He goes to a base in California. I didn't Google this. It was night when he left. It's day when he gets to the base. And we know how fast those suits fly. I find it very, very hard to believe it took him that long to fly in that suit.
Yeah, it's, yeah, no way. It's because it wasn't, like, morning. It was, like...
It was, like, a solid, like, 11, 12.
Yeah, like, it was into the day.
Like, people were out and about and really doing their stuff. He lands the suit. He says, I have this. We're going to obtain it. And then I brought up the point, they show in Tony's house him, like, bolting the suit, like, the machines bolting the suit onto Rhodey. He doesn't have that, so how's that suit come off?
Yep. Very carefully.
He just kind of slithers his way out of the face mask.
That's what Don Cheadle can do.
Just Don Cheadle things.
Unhinging all my bones to become human like puddle to get out of this Iron Man suit.
So while they're taking care of that suit there, Tony is getting his hangover food at a donut shop. And probably the most memorable... I do remember this shot of the movie. The most memorable shot of the movie, maybe.
I remember it being in all the trailers of him in the donut.
Was it?
Yeah.
you just zoom out and you see that he's in the Iron Man suit in a donut, eating a donut. And then we get Mr. Fury.
Mr. Nicholas Fury.
Nicholas Fury making his first official appearance in the MCU.
In a movie, not in a stinger.
Yes, he's not in the stinger in this one. He's actually in the movie. Which, again, that'd be interesting if you didn't stay for the end of Iron Man 1. You probably have no idea who this guy is.
Who's this dude?
But he comes in and
sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to step out of the donut.
Sir, step out of the donut. They go into the restaurant. He kind of explains, like, more about his father.
Yeah.
And Fury kind of releases the information that Howard Stark helped found S.H.I.E.L.D., which we know because we watched Captain America the First Avenger.
Right.
But he kind of lets it and he says, he cared about you more than you know. And then we get the reveal that Romanoff is actually the double agent.
Black Widow, which is never
said in the movie.
They never, they could have snuck it in. I don't know how I would have felt about it. I'm not saying it would have been a smart thing to do. But they could have snuck it in and was like, oh yeah, Natasha here was double agent, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, Black Widow or whatever.
They don't even say Black Widow that much in the movies, I don't think. I think they usually say Agent Romanoff.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
they don't say Hawkeye I don't think they ever say Hawkeye.
Which, Hawkeye is someone who would probably say Hawkeye.
Yeah. That's something we're going to have to look out for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they get this reveal that she's this double agent and that basically Tony's now on house arrest till he figures out this problem. They give him a little shot of something that, like, cures his...
And I forget what it was called, but it wasn't a complex chemical.
Lithium dioxide or something like that. It was like...
It's like, okay, well, you might have some trouble getting the lithium, but you're Tony Stark.
No, you don't have trouble getting lithium if you're Tony Stark. It doesn't even... Yeah, but they shoot it in his neck. He kind of feels a little better. They go through, and he drops off this case from Howard Stark at his house. Coulson's there at his house, and basically says... Tony says, like, yeah, I'd like some coffee from the local Starbucks, and Coulson says... No, you're gonna go do this, and if you try and leave, I'm gonna tase you and watch like Step Brother or something.
No, it was Super Nanny.
Super Nanny, that's it. He's like, I'm gonna tase you and watch Super Nanny while you drool.
Which that's so Coulson to be like, make a threat and put in kind of a nerdy thing in there.
I forget how much I like Coulson.
Coulson's a good character.
I probably should watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I feel like he's not in it enough for me to do that.
Think? So he starts working on this. He puts in the Howard Stark movies.
Yeah.
From the Stark Expo.
Let's talk about the continuing controversy.
So the running issue we have with the MCU, I'll let you take this. This is yours.
So it started back in episode 1, Captain America, when they wouldn't show a man mooning Captain America. They would not show the full moon.
They would not show the moon.
But they would show someone getting turned into a fine puree via plane propeller. And then what was after Iron Man? Did they show butt?
There was something about butt in Iron... I remember something in the Hulk. I can't remember Iron Man.
There's butt in Hulk.
Yeah, there's butt. There's Edward Norton butt in Hulk.
There's butt in Hulk, and that's like... Okay, so you won't show a soldier mooning, but you'll show Edward Norton butt.
And then, what do we have during this movie?
We have, during the outtakes of...
Howard Stark.
He says, I'm going to show the world my ass. And it's like, okay, so now you're allude to it. Like, just do it. I want a director's cut of Captain America, the First Avenger. But the only change is they show that soldier mooning Captain America.
Joe Johnson, we need you to go do one reshoot for a movie that came out 7 years ago now.
Yes. One reshoot. Get all the original cast.
Just that one scene. But they show this video.
I was going to say, there's nothing weird about it. It's just the principle matter.
It's all about the principle.
It's really all about the principle.
As Howard Stark's doing his presentation, he kind of stops one time and he says, Tony, you won't understand this now, but this is the future. I've discovered this element. Does he say element there?
I don't think he's like, I discovered this.
I've made this discovery, but I'm limited by my technology. I can't do it, but maybe you can when you grow up. And now Tony's got to try and piece up, like, what is he talking about?
Which, Tony Stark makes a particle accelerator?
We're skipping a little bit ahead.
Are we?
Skipping a little bit ahead. But you're right. So Tony's now trying to figure it out. He drives off the compound. Nothing happens to him, so someone's really slacking on their job.
Coulson was busy. He was watching too much Super Nanny.
Super Nanny, man. You can't...
Get into a few episodes and you're lost.
It's just lost forever. It takes your soul away. He stops and buys strawberries. Key moment there.
Key moment. He gives away his watch.
Is that what it was? I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, he gave the strawberry salesman his watch, and he's like, "Sir, that's too much." He's like, "Nah, take it." And then he immediately says, "I don't like people handing things to me. Just put it in the seat."
That scene was really funny. That's such a Tony Stark thing. Here, have my $10,000 watch, but don't hand me strawberries. Just put them on the seat.
Yeah.
They go to Stark Industries. Pepper Potts is there getting yelled at. Fox News is on yelling at her. Everyone's yelling at her.
He also just says mute. And
we get another mute button.
God. It's better than the clapper.
People, this is a $1,000 idea at least.
It doesn't need to know other words. It just needs to know mute.
Mute and unmute.
Yeah, that's it.
He has this conversation with Pepper Potts. He's trying to say he doesn't say I'm sorry, but he's trying to get that forgiveness. And this is kind of I felt like we went backwards with Tony Stark in this movie. I felt like at the end of Iron Man 1, he's taking ownership of things. But this one, he just felt like a baby. He felt like an overgrown kid.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the whole... It is kind of Tony's... I mean, look, by where we are currently in the MCU, he is definitely a different person. But it's this is that whole, I'm facing my death, and I'm scared to tell people. And now I'm not going to tell people because I'm scared. And it is totally a childlike move.
But it just, he was so much... It just seems so much better in the first one, and then we go backwards. I understand, he's facing his death and trying to figure it out, but just that... The one scene that really stood out is Pepper says, "I need you." And he's like, "Yes, I need you too." And she's like, "No, I need you to leave." And he's, trying to, He's trying to talk his way out of this, and it's just... It felt so... different from the end of the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then we find out that Pepper Potts is deathly allergic to strawberries.
Yeah, there's one thing in this world I am allergic to, and it's strawberries. I knew there was some correlation. That's progress.
So Tony Stark's... she leaves the office for a flight with Romanoff and Happy. Stark sees the original Expo map, and he takes it, and then he takes it back to his basement. He scans it with Jarvis. Which, Jarvis does not get a lot of anything in this movie.
No, and that sucks because Jarvis is a pretty good character, and a great reason why when we come up with AI, you should not give it a SAS function.
So he scans it, he pulls it out, and he says "Oh, this looks like an atom." And I mean, I know it's a comic book movie. I know we have to suspend disbelief here, but you're saying that Howard Stark found this element, and the only way he could save it for Tony to find is to build the Expo grounds in the same shape as this atom.
I don't know. I got nothing here.
It's just, and then he takes away the shrubberies and the exits and all that, and he makes this atom. And then Jarvis does say, "Yeah, there's no way of making that."
Yeah, he says there's no way to synthesize it.
Oh, that's it, synthesize.
Meaning that they have to make it. You can't fake this one.
So now he buys the...
Yeah, so he somehow gets, in a day, gets access to components to make a particle accelerator.
Builds it, tears apart his electricity to power it. Coulson comes back and says, "Did you leave?" He's like, "Yeah, that was 3 years ago. Get with the times."
Yeah, it's so good. Builds this functional particle accelerator through his house. And then redirects this beam of particles onto this triangle. I don't know why it had to be a triangle.
There's so much that
I guess triangles are the strongest shape in nature.
I guess he shoots with this laser, and then we have no idea how he knows, but he just turns it off, and he's like, "Congratulations, sir, you made this element now."
Yeah.
Again, this is something that he should have found this in the first 30 minutes of the movie.
And then it be a slow revelation.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been something "Oh yeah, I just build this and shoot it with a laser in 5 minutes and we're done." But again, I think this movie, there's a lot going on.
I feel like they do subplots in this movie, but they don't stack them.
They don't.
So if it was maybe him finally going through his father's stuff, finds these videos or whatever, and then gets that cryptic message at the end, and then him being like, yeah, that was weird, Dad, whatever. And then, like, over the movie, it builds into this whole, like, oh,
he, like, reads a journal and, like, makes a connection or something. Yeah. We kind of glossed over this, but Hammer hires Ivan to help make his Iron Man suits. He says, like, no, we're not making suits, we're making drones.
Drone better.
Drone is better. Hammer doesn't agree. Eventually, he sees, like, he's not going to be ready for the show. He has a slot at the Stark Expo, and he says they won't be ready for presentation, just demonstration, or one of those two.
Yeah.
He says they'll be able to salute.
Yeah.
And Hammer gets furious. He takes all his stuff away, and like everyone's so whiny in this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone is so whiny in this movie.
I think they're trying to make it like dramatic, but it came off whiny.
Yeah, it's hard to be. Not the way everything was cartoony in this movie.
Yeah, they were still finding their way, clearly.
So he takes his stuff away, and that's when we see that Ivan's real plan was never to help him with this. He's building drones to help him, and he's rebuilding his
Whiplash.
The Whiplash suit, which we'll get. I won't get ahead too far. And that's when we get the scene as Hammer's going to this presentation with his drones. Ivan hangs two people.
Yeah, Ivan just straight up hangs.
There are two people hung in a Disney movie, not moving.
I mean, but we don't know that they're dead. It's only assumed they're dead.
You don't see their faces, that's true, but they're hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Their feet aren't moving in multiple shots.
It's only alluded that they're dead.
Only alluded.
So, all hell breaks loose at the expo.
Well, we get the reveal. He's made these drones for all the military. And then he released Rhodey with all his new weapons. We skipped that because that was just a whatever scene.
Yeah. It was Rhodey in the War Machine armor.
Yeah, Rhodey in the War Machine armor. And Ivan has hacked everything.
Right. Which, my biggest thing is, Ivan can hack all these drones and Rhodey's armor and lock Rhodey out of controlling the armor, but he cannot close a comm channel with Rhodey and Stark.
Yeah, Tony and Rhodey are talking this whole movie like nothing's wrong.
Which probably is the only reason Tony lived.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was like, oh, watch out, I'm locked on you. Oh, I'm like, oh, what, these guys split off and stuff like that. Like,
had he done that, the movie ends. Like,
yeah,
Tony's dead.
Tony's dead. Tony cannot. And that was a good moment. Like, you can't always do it by yourself. But as Tony's doing it, let's just get this scene out of the way quick. Natasha and Happy go to the facility, and while Happy is boxing this one dude for like 20 minutes, Natasha takes out every other guard in the place in a really cool scene. I still stand by that maybe Happy just got the one tough guy.
I don't think that's a thing.
I mean, he didn't have gadgets or anything too, so...
Yeah, but they get in there, and then Natasha hacks everything, because, you just click a bunch of keys and you can hack everything.
I mean...
And they free, as that's happening, they do eventually free Rhodey. Iron Man's blowing stuff up. Let's talk about the most controversial cameo in the MCU. There's a scene with a little boy wearing an Iron Man mask, and he holds his little repulsor up, and this robot's about to blow him up, and then Tony Stark saves the day and says, "Good shot, kid." This is officially confirmed.
I don't like that. It's confirmed that the little kid was Peter Parker. And it's like, okay. But, like, what? I don't know. First of all, where's the expo being held? Was it
Queens.
It was New York?
It was in Queens.
Okay.
Flushing, something like that.
More believable now. But I still, I feel like it just makes it so small. Like, it was such an innocent scene before. Now now it's like, it has this effect.
Yeah, so when they came out with Homecoming, someone said, wouldn't it be cool if that guy was Spider-Man? And they said, sure, now he's Spider-Man. We can do that. And you're right, it does kind of take it away. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it actually takes away. The more I think about it, it doesn't do anything.
I don't know. There's something about having Peter Parker being a fan from a distance that finally is like, I have my chance to be a superhero. Maybe it's just me being nitpicky, and I know that.
Yeah, you are. Tony blows up all these things. They go, they unhack Rhodey. They're in this, like, biodome.
They unhack him. I'm out!
They're in this biodome thing, which I don't really get.
Biodome.
Yeah, they're in the Pauly Shore movie now. And they're bickering on who's the big gun that's going to take the high ground.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the Obi-Wan and who's going to be the Anakin?
And then he's like, we can't sit into it. It's like, fine, I'll draw him on. He's like, you can't stand out here. That's the kill box.
And then every robot lands. Ha 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 ha.
They're in the kill box. Now, they do have a pretty, like, I'm not saying cinematically a masterpiece, but a pretty cool in concept scene of both of them just gunning it out with, like,
it's an okay
20 robots.
It's an okay action scene. I do like that they use oil to represent blood because they're robots. You can do that.
Yeah, there's just a point where, like, oil splashes on, is it?
War Machine.
War Machine's
because
face.
he's using the machine guns.
Yeah, it's so cool.
They blow all the robots off. It wasn't really that big. He uses his laser thing to cut them all off.
Oh, yeah, it's like super awesome, like laser.
They can only use once a day.
Yeah.
And then we finally get Whiplash coming in, which I think the final concept of Whiplash is really cool.
Final concept of Whiplash was cool. Would have been cooler if we saw, because like the whole thing was that Ivan built the framework for Whiplash earlier in the movie in the car scene.
Yeah.
And like that alone was enough to give, albeit probably the flimsiest set of armor Tony had, but enough to give Tony a seasoned Iron Man at this point. Relatively well seasoned Iron Man, a run for his money. I feel like the full armor should have been more than it was.
Yeah,
more of a challenge. Not saying like it needed to look more and be more. It should have been more of a challenge than they made it seem.
Yeah, the fight felt like it started and ended real quick.
Yeah, like the drones were a bigger threat than Whiplash itself was.
Yeah, I mean it just looked like it was a cool looking armor though. He fights them, he wraps them, you think it's over in like a minute and a half, and then Tony crosses the streams. Yeah, that's how they beat him. They do what they did in their fight earlier, War Machine and Iron Man, and fire the repulsors at each other, which like causes an explosion. And then, of course, Ivan's not dead. He says, "You lose again," and you start seeing the bombs flashing everywhere because all the drones now had bombs. So now Tony has to sprint out and save Pepper right as the explosion. You get this giant... I'm sorry. A beeping that ascends in tone is always a bomb noise. That's 100% never not a bomb noise. Yeah, I should also point out the cops say, "Pepper, do you want to come with us?" She's like, "No, I'm going to wait till the park's clear." Why is this mid-30s blonde woman allowed to just stay at this park and just stay there? She's a multi-billion-dollar person at this point. Yeah. And the cop's like, "Yeah, okay, we're not gonna leave you a cop or anything. Yeah, just do you." Yeah. But Tony flies in, saves the day under this giant background of explosions. They land on a roof. They have this romantic scene, and then you see that Rhodey's been there the whole time. Yeah, which is like one of the greatest Rhodey moments. That might be the funniest scene in the movie. It was really funny. He's like, "Oh God, you guys look like two seals wrestling over a grape." and they're like, "Can we have some privacy?" He's like, "No, I was here first. Get your own roof." Like, it's such a good moment. Rhodey then says, "My car blew up, by the way. I need this suit." And he's like, Tony's like, "No." He's like, "No, that was an order," and just takes it. Yeah, he was like, "I wasn't asking." So, and then we kind of just... Is that kind of the end of the movie? It's pretty much the end of the movie. Oh, he meets with Nick Fury. He says, "You're not a member of the Avengers, but you'll be a consultant." Yeah, we'll see how that works out in about 2 movies. Yeah, well, that doesn't hold up well. Yeah, and it was, and that's the wrap, and then there's the stinger, or that was the stinger. No, the stinger is in New Mexico. Oh, you're right. So stinger is Coulson pulls up to his new assignment in New Mexico, where there's a massive crater, and then he says, "What is he like? Yeah, sir, we got it, or we found it." Yeah, and then camera pans down inside the crater to see a hammer. Whoa! And honestly, like, this movie was so forgettable. It was. There's just so many scenes I watched. I forgot Whiplash got a full set of armor. Yeah, I forgot that too. There's just so much. There's nothing really. Go ahead. You don't need to like take anything. I think if you have everything they have in that movie, but just stretched it out or restructured it, like the Whiplash was good, with the Whiplash being a villain and Whiplash armor was good.
I mean, Hammer was an annoying character, but he still had a place in that movie. I think if you just restructured it, actually put some subplots in that were stacked on top of each other to give it more interest. Like, it could have been a solid up there with the first Iron Man.
The pieces are there, but they're not in the right order. I think there were some bad casting calls here. Like, for the great Don Cheadle casting we got, Mickey Rourke was misused.
You didn't need to get that high caliber of an actor for that role.
Yeah, especially the way they used him. Whoever played Hammer, I know we looked it up in the movie, but just unforgettable, whiny, not good.
Yeah.
There was just some misfires here. And I don't know if they were trying to force a little bit the Avengers thing a little too quickly with putting Fury and Romanoff in.
Yeah.
I don't know, but all right. Are you ready?
Time for the grading.
It's time for us to grade this on the patented, scientifically proven SHIELD ranking. Connor, run it down. What's the SHIELD ranking?
SHIELD. S stands for scoundrel, the villain. Were they a good character? Were they a good villain? Were they interesting at all? H stands for hero. How was our main character, our main protagonist? Were they a good character for the movie to be based on? And what could they have done to be better? I stands for integrity. How does the movie hold up? Like, how does it hold up over the years and in the context of the MCU? E stands for entertainment. Was it fun? That's like, that should be like 90% of the reason you go see a movie is it looks fun to see. L, possibly the most important, the Lee cameo. Yeah, you know how this is going for that one. And the D stands for development. What does it do for the cinematic universe as a whole?
And important to note here, these are not weighed the same. They are scaled in ways that we found as most important. And again, actually, not we, our team of scientists and research developers have come up.
It's hard to not take all the credit. I mean, we are the face men.
We really are. But let's go through the scoundrel, which I'm going to lump Whiplash and Hammer. I think you have to put both of them together here.
Whiplash was better than Hammer.
Whiplash was better, but was it? I think it's a 1.
Yeah.
I think it's a 1. Like, I'm trying to compare. So, the villains we've seen so far, we've seen Red Skull, we've seen Ironmonger, we've seen Abomination, and we've seen these two.
Which
I preferred all 3 of the other ones to this.
Yeah.
I think it's a 1 for me on villain, or scoundrel, I should say. Scoundrel.
Yeah.
In this. It's just, they're both forgettable. They're both misused. It's just not a good... It's just a mess.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, neither were really strong on their own, and putting them together didn't really make them any stronger.
So you're going as a 1 as well?
I'll go 0.75 even.
You're going 0.75?
Yeah,
wow.
Under 1. Yeah.
You are the harsh grader on this, I've noticed.
I am. I get finicky.
All right, how about you should do the hero, though? Because I think I'm going to be the harsh one on this.
Yeah, you probably will. I think in the context of Tony Stark's character as we've seen from the first Iron Man, given the fact that in the I'm going to use this word a lot, in the context that he's essentially facing his death through 90% of this movie, I think it wasn't a horrible portrayal of what his character would do. I mean, to lapse back into the party boy, like, you know, I have money and power and can do what I want, and I'm a superhero now. And to kind of, like, do all this crazy stuff, like firing the driver for your race car team and driving yourself, and throwing a rager party at your house while getting totally plastered in the Iron Man suit. I think it's showing Tony Stark scared, and how Tony Stark would be scared in the long run of it. So I think I'll give it... I don't want to say 3, so we'll go 2.75.
So here's my issue with it. I really thought they did a good job developing Tony in the first one. They took him from this person that doesn't really care about anything to caring about a lot of things, being a lone wolf to having these relationships. And I just felt like they did away with so much of that in this movie. When you go back to this whininess, this me, 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 me. In fact, Pepper says that, like, if you say me one more time, I'm going to throw something at you. I just felt like they tore the character apart so much. If I look at him as a hero, like, the armors aren't that great or memorable besides the suitcase one, which I think is one of the cooler ones in there, but the other ones are just armors. I'm going 2.
That's fine. And yeah, and I will agree with you. The armors, like suitcase one, kind of steals the show, which sucks because he gets the cool triangle plate one. But that's just the same one we've seen, but now it has a triangle on its chest, you know. And that's really it.
So the integrity. So how does this movie hold up? And I think we've kind of hit the nail on the head. This is such a forgettable movie.
It is, and that's rough because there's some cool parts in it, but
the only part that really stuck out to me is like, well, that's a really cool scene, was the racetrack scene.
Yeah,
the other scenes. I mean, even the final fight, it's just him fighting a bunch of drones.
Yeah,
like,
and even like the final boss lasts not as long as the drones did.
I mean, it might not have lasted as long as the racetrack scene.
Yeah,
it was just it was like done so quick. There's not a lot of conflict in here.
Yeah,
you get this half the time he's just being. I mean, 1.5 for integrity.
I'll go 1.25.
You're going even lower. Wow,
I am. It's the issue of I didn't remember the main villain got a full set of armor and a fight. I remember like him hacking the drones and stuff, but that's it. Like that was the issue with it.
Yeah, there's just and then that goes to entertainment. I mean,
this might be the more redeeming factor for this movie because there were some fun parts.
There's fun parts, but even then, like I was looking at the clock a lot. Like I was flicking over. Like, how much longer do we have in this movie?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to go into these with open minds. Like I came into this saying like this is not going to be a good movie. I'm trying to come in with open minds, but it's hard with this. And so I mean, even entertainment, I think I'm going to go 1.5 on that too. Like the racetrack scene's great. Rhodey has some okay lines.
Yeah, I'll share your 1.5 there. And that does tie into the integrity of if I can't remember things that happened in a movie, is it really entertaining? Do we have to talk about this flaming trash pile?
Lee cameo, 0.25.
Yeah, no discussion needed.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful. It's just literally a waste of talent. Like, don't even put it in.
It's not even like 5 seconds worth of Lee.
We had to rewatch it to make sure it was Stan Lee.
Yeah, we were like, that might have actually been... no, that was Stan Lee. He had a mustache. What?
It was so dumb. And then finally, the development. So, we're looking at how does this develop the MCU. So, here's some things. I'm going to go through my thing here. We have Howard Stark.
Right.
We have the mention of S.H.I.E.L.D. We have Nick Fury. We have...
Nick Fury in an active role during the movie.
We have Nick Fury. We have Romanoff and
Black Widow gets introduced.
Black Widow's introduced. You have Coulson who talks about Thor in there.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get this concept of it kind of hints to in future movies the idea that you need someone regulating
these heroes
because that's like the whole point of the movie.
Right.
So there is some development there, but at the same time, like when I look at development, like if I took this movie out and it didn't exist, how much would the MCU collapse?
Honestly, to introduce Black Widow and Avengers wouldn't be a horrible thing. It would have been a little rough, but it's like, all right. I
mean, like you'd have to introduce Fury before the Avengers,
right?
But yeah, you could have done that without Black Widow. The one thing that's going to pull it up is the idea that it does kind of pull back to that idea of regulation,
right?
Which becomes a huge issue after the Avengers,
right?
So you're kind of hinting at that, but even then, that's not a great one. I think I might go 2.25.
I'll go 2.
Wow, I'm actually really shocked because I thought you were going to be the one that was going to be a lot lower on this than me.
I mean, here's the thing, like,
a lot higher, I should say. I thought I was going to be lower.
I do like Iron Man, but when you think grand scheme, I don't see like, okay, you get Thor mentioned, you get S.H.I.E.L.D. being an active part, but like it's like you said, if you take it out, it doesn't. It's not like you're taking out the key piece in the Jenga tower and the whole thing falls apart. If you took out Iron Man 1, it would definitely be more shaky. I think, because Iron Man 1 does bring in S.H.I.E.L.D. and the mention of that there's more than just you out there, Tony, and stuff like that. So I think I think if you do that, if you take this movie out, you don't really lose a lot. Maybe maybe you lose out on a little bit more of Iron Man development, but that's not really saying much.
Connor, our scientists have worked throughout the night.
Yeah.
It's actually the next day. We haven't left the room yet.
Yeah,
the door is still locked.
I don't like this. We got to change this locking the door while we're recording situation. It gets real weird.
But we have tallied the numbers.
Right.
Iron Man 2 is by a hair slightly better than The Incredible Hulk.
I'll take it.
But there's a huge gap between Iron Man 2 and Captain America the First Avenger.
Right. I mean, Captain America's a solid movie.
Captain America's a very good movie. There's so many memorable scenes and memorable lines, and I think that there should be a big gap between this.
Yeah.
And
That's fair.
I kind of said it last week, like, I'm curious to see if The Incredible Hulk's going to be our lowest rated movie. I'll tell you right now, this was a nail biter.
Yeah, it's very close. You told me the scores. It's very close.
It's kind of, again, it's amazing that we have 2 duds.
Yeah.
In the first 4 movies here. Like, because I know these movies aren't, this is in the order they came out. It's the order in the cinematic universe.
Right.
But it was Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2 were the first 3 movies out. And we had 2 rough movies.
Yeah, they were pretty rough.
So it's kind of amazing. Like, this thing should not have worked the MCU should not have worked as well as it did.
Well, it's the spanning out because we're doing it so close together. We're like, yeah, dude, that was a rough movie. But now it's like, imagine having to wait a year.
That's true.
And then you get all the like sweet nostalgia of like, yeah, remember Iron Man 2? That was a cool movie. Can't wait for the next one. Like,
that's true. I didn't think about that. Like, when you have this whole year and you know the next one's coming out in next June, and you've got to like, oh man, I better not die before next June.
Right.
So that's true. Which, by the way, if I die before May, my whole life's a waste.
Yeah. What's the point?
So, Connor, we're now through 4 weeks.
4 solid weeks.
Wow.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
4 weeks in our existence.
4 weeks in our existence have gone down the drain to this. And next week, we get to visit the final Avenger.
Before the movie, yeah.
We're almost there.
Technically the final 2.
You're right. The final 2 are in there.
Final 2's in there.
But we get to meet the God of Thunder himself.
Yes.
Zeus.
Yeah, a real questionable choice of them using Zeus in this. There's like 16 sex scenes in that movie, and I don't know how Disney got through that. But oh wait, Thor.
Oh yeah,
it's the wrong pantheon.
Oh
Thor.
Man, I always
Thor.
do that.
Yeah,
we're gonna see Thor next week. Chris Hemsworth, the Australian delight.
Oh, so buff.
So buff. We get to see Natalie Portman, how she holds up in the MCU.
We'll see.
And that annoying girl from Two Broke Girls is also in there.
I'll take her.
Okay.
I'll take her over Hammer.
That's true. So, Connor, I'd like to thank the Couch Gnomes again. Every week, thank you for giving us this precious space on the channel.
Give us our time. Give the gnomes their time. Thank you for that coin you threw at me. Super awesome. We've wanted to do a podcast for a while. This seemed to be a good lead into that, to a personal podcast, because personally the gnome schedules are pretty crazy to get together for Fridays even. So, it's great to be able to have a podcast up. Be sure to check us out on Facebook. You're watching this on YouTube, so hey, if you like the video, give it a like. If you have questions or comments or think our Stan Lee cameo ideas, which is slowly becoming a thing where we come up with better Stan Lee cameos.
Share with us your Stan Lee cameo for this movie. What would you do to make Stan Lee a better part of this movie?
Man, gonna be easy to gain points this week.
We should do that every week. Whoever sends the best one, we read it at the end. So
that's a
good
new
idea. Thing.
On the spot.
For the previous movie, you send it in. We're gonna say what would have been a Stan Lee cameo, a better Stan Lee cameo. We want to hear your
shout out.
Also, if you have any other things you want to talk about, like if we think we've made some mistakes in our analysis, if you want to add a point that we kind of missed or didn't think was important, hit us up. We'd love to hear some more fans talk to us.
And if it's really salty, we'll read it in a Dale Gribble voice. Because that's just what you do. Yeah.
So where could they can obviously comment on the YouTube
Yeah,
video,
absolutely.
which is where the most civil conversations happen.
And intellectual.
Intellectual, yes. But what are some other ways that they could reach out?
Well, as I said, there's our Facebook where you can give a like and comment on stuff, and we will see it. We usually throw up clips from our videos and new series and whatnot. Every Friday, the Couch Gnomes stream on Twitch, starting usually around 6:30. And we always go through different games and have a good time there. Twitter. We are up on the Twitter. I don't manage that. Danny does. So I think he's
I don't have a
active.
Twitter anymore, so
Yeah,
I can't really,
really.
speak much about
Instagram. We're on Instagram too. Danny, can I manage that? I don't touch Instagram.
You're the YouTube lord.
Yeah, I'm the YouTube. I'll take YouTube. YouTube and Facebook are my domains. And we have a Spreadshirt. I still think Kanai.
It'll be linked in the description.
It's always linked in the description. Kanai is the only person. I don't even know if Danny has it memorized, but Kanai can rattle that thing off on demand.
That seems like a Kanai thing.
That's totally a Kanai thing.
So,
all right, guys.
Thank you for joining us. Again, Thor next week.
Let's get some Thunder God.
Let's hope it's better than this crap.
Another. Yeah, we're gonna be saying that a lot next week.
Do you want to do Boilermakers during the show?
No.
Do you want to do Boilermakers during the show?
All right, guys. See you next week. Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Listening. Bye.